Ask about our free 2-room satellite TV system with free standard professional installation offer.
The U.S.-led ground offensive is well underway in the war against Iraq, with armored convoys pushing into southern Iraq today. Meanwhile, defense officials today are reporting the first American combat casualty, a Marine shot dead in southern Iraq.
From CBS News, this special edition of The Early Show is part of our continuing coverage of America at War.
Good morning and welcome back to the second hour of The Early Show, special coverage of America at War. I'm Harry Smith along with Renee Seiler and Hannah Storm, and Julie Chen is in Kuwait. Good morning again, Julie.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It is 4 o'clock in the afternoon here in Kuwait City, Kuwait, and I'm happy to report that it has been 3 hours since I have heard that wave alarm, which basically means put your gas mask on. I'll have more from Kuwait City, Kuwait throughout this broadcast, but for now, I'd like to send things back to you, Harry, in New York.
All right, Julie, here's the latest now this morning. An American Marine has been killed in action, the first combat casualty. He was shot in southern Iraq. U.S. ground forces are quickly advancing through southern Iraq and could reach Baghdad within a matter of days. American B-52 bombers took off from Britain this morning, the first time since the war began. U.S. missiles hit Baghdad for the second night in a row, including a presidential palace. Iraqi officials say Saddam Hussein survived the attack. U.S. analysts confirm the voice on this videotape is Saddam's, but it is unclear when that tape was made. The U.S. 1st Marine Division is making fast progress through southern Kuwait, southern Iraq. CBS News correspondent John Roberts is with the Marines and reports via videophone.
We're just making our way through one of the many lanes here in the southern Iraqi desert, and if I could, I'd like to just kind of show you the type of conditions that the troops are dealing with here. Take a look out the front of our vehicle. Here's a camera at the front of our vehicle. The choking dust of this desert, the sand is a consistency almost like talcum powder. And you can see that it just completely obliterates your line of sight, and it makes driving very, very difficult. Kirk Spitzer, who is our able driver there, who you can see right in front of me, did a tremendous job getting us up to the border last night and doing another great job today driving in this choking dust. At one point last night, we thought that we had fallen off of the main column, but Kirk managed to get us right back on. If you want to take a look at what's happening at the back now, again, the dust is sort of choking this. We'll clean this off as the day goes on, but there's the rest of the column that's coming behind us. Now, looking off to our side here, let me pick up our remote camera here, if I could. We seem to see a line of vehicles off to the left there. It's a line of camels. Through the smoke in my aging eyes, it's difficult to tell what's what, but there is the ship of the desert out there to the side. Some of what we're seeing as we travel through the desert here. The one thing that we haven't encountered, and it's been kind of unusual, is there have been no opposing forces that have been sighted so far. Now, obviously, we have some lead elements of this battalion that are roaming far in front of us, who are making sure that all of the lanes are cleared. But so far, there's been absolutely no sight of any Iraqi forces. I have to say that there was heavy bombardment last night. They were just pounding these units. The 18th Division, the 51st Division, with artillery. Shells were falling at the rate of 1 a second at a 30-minute barrage. Then they take a 30-minute break to rearm, and then they'd be back at it again, a shell a second for another 30 minutes. We saw them from our pre-positioning point just south of the berm that marks the northernmost point of the Kuwaiti border. We saw them dropping bombs all night long. There's a hill to the north, just to the north of the Iraq-Kuwaiti border, and I think I'm good in saying this because this was supposed to be attacked last night.
That's John Roberts via video phone from southern Iraq, literally on a dead run toward Baghdad thus far. Let's go over to Hannah now.
All right, thanks, Harry. CBS News national security correspondent David Martin has been working around the clock at the Pentagon and was the first to report this morning that the man seen on the tape is now believed to indeed be Saddam Hussein. Good morning, David, and what can you tell us?
Good morning. Well, let's first get to the grim facts. 5 Americans, all of them Marines, have now been killed. One was shot and killed by enemy fire in the southern oil fields of Iraq. 4 more died, along with 8 British Marines, when their helicopter crashed in Kuwait. The question of whether Saddam Hussein was killed remains unanswered. The CIA has now completed its voice analysis of that taped appearance Saddam made on Iraqi TV after the attack on his compound, and the analysis concludes that is indeed the real Saddam speaking, not a double, but it does not prove he is still alive, because there is no way of telling whether that tape was made before or after the attack on his compound. U.S. intelligence remains very confident he and his 2 sons were inside the compound when the cruise missiles and the bombs from the F-117 stealth fighter hit the compound. The compound was very badly damaged. U.S. intelligence is very confident that some people in the compound were killed. They just don't know whether that includes Saddam and his 2 sons. Today, the 3rd Infantry Division will advance further into Iraq, could be to Baghdad within 3 days if there's no resistance.
All right, CBS's David Martin at the Pentagon. We'll check back with you in a bit. Thanks. As the ground troops push ahead in Iraq, U.S. forces offshore are quite busy as well. CBS News correspondent Cynthia Bowers reports from the aircraft carrier USS Abraham Lincoln.
There are so many bombs on board the USS Abraham Lincoln, there isn't enough room to store them in the magazine rooms down below, and tables have now been cleared in part of what is the enlisted mess or eating area to make room for them. And that was before today's new arrivals came in as part of what is called a replenishment at sea. That's when a supply ship pulls alongside the USS Lincoln and uses helicopters and a system of ropes and pulleys to transfer food, airplane parts, and today, bombs, many 1,000 and 2,000-pound laser and GPS-guided bombs. There is still no official word yet on when Operation Shock and Awe will begin, or what role this carrier and its 70-plus fighter jets will play, but there are heavy flight operations scheduled for later today. And from my vantage point, just looking at the incredible amount of firepower now on board is in and of itself shocking and awe-inspiring. Cynthia Bowers, CBS News, on board the USS Abraham Lincoln in the Persian Gulf.
Thousands of anti-war protesters took to the streets in cities across the country yesterday. While most of the demonstrations were peaceful, police in riot gear clashed with protesters in San Francisco. More than 1,000 people were arrested. CBS News correspondent John Blackstone reports.
Police described it as a day of absolute anarchy on the streets of San Francisco. As running clashes with police stretched into the night, protesters tried to close down the Bay Bridge, the city's busiest bridge. The confrontation turned the evening rush hour into gridlock. The chaos began in San Francisco in the early morning.
I think it's important as the war starts to show that business should not go on as usual.
With protesters blocking intersections all over the city center, business did not go on as usual, even for some who made it to their offices.
I think they're at work now going, wow, I wish I could be down there helping them out.
As police struggled to keep the streets open, more and more protesters were arrested. With the number taken into custody climbing well over 1,000, police said it's the most arrests ever made in a single day in San Francisco.
No more bombs! No more bombs!
In cities across the country, there were other demonstrations and arrests. Hundreds blocked a bridge near the Texas state capitol in Austin. Police used pepper spray to push back the crowd and made at least 47 arrests. In Chicago, police were unable to contain a crowd of several thousand protesters who snarled the evening rush hour. In New York, protesters held umbrellas along with their signs. 21 were taken into custody. In Philadelphia, demonstrators blocking the entrance to the federal building were given a deadline. About 100 were arrested. In Los Angeles, a crowd gathered at the federal building on busy Wilshire Boulevard. But nowhere has the disruption been greater than here in San Francisco. And protesters promise this day of turmoil will be repeated here and in other cities as the war goes on. John Blackstone, CBS News, San Francisco.
I want to turn our attention now to the war in Iraq and to Richard Pearl, the chairman of the Defense Policy Board, which acts as an advisory panel to the Pentagon. Mr. Pearl, good morning.
Good morning to you.
Give me your assessment of what you've been seeing so far over the last 48 hours or so. You have long advocated the ouster of Saddam Hussein.
I believe the military action is going extremely well. It appears that the resistance is minimal. That's not surprising. Saddam Hussein has ruled by terror and intimidation, and Iraqis can now see that his regime is coming to an end. They will no longer be intimidated. We will see surrenders in large numbers, and I hope and trust we'll even see some Iraqi forces joining free Iraqis.
That was one of the things that Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld was talking about yesterday, this notion that there may have actually been direct negotiations going on with certain segments of the Iraqi military. What do you think about that?
Well, obviously the best way to win this war is to persuade Iraqi forces that they're on the wrong side, that they don't have to continue to live under the reign of terror of Saddam Hussein. There are very few Iraqis who want to die for this regime. Very few who want to fight for it, and I think that we have done a very good job in providing them a means for expressing their deep opposition to their own awful government.
Are you surprised that there has been no definitive appearance by Saddam Hussein since this fighting started 2 days ago?
Well, as I recall, there wasn't much of a presence in the last Gulf War. There was the occasional broadcast from locations that we could never identify. He may well have been seriously affected by the bombing action against the headquarters. In any case, if he's not unable to direct things now, he soon will be unable to direct things. And I think we will start to see an outpouring of the real attitudes of the Iraqi people. They have not wanted this regime for years and years, and finally their hour of liberation is at hand. I find it a bit ironic watching, as we've all been, demonstrations against this war when A, the war is going well, and B, it is a war of liberation. People should be not only not angry, but pleased that the people of Iraq may now have a decent life.
All right, that's Richard Pearl. We thank you very much for taking the time to talk with us this morning.
Thank you.
Now here's Hannah.
Quick break from Talk of the War to check the nation's weather. Showers and thunderstorms will be scattered across the Northeast. Flooding is possible in upstate New York and in central New England. And now here's an early look at what's going on in your area.
Well, this morning across Middle Tennessee, we do have clouds moving in across the area. A slight chance of a few patchy light showers. Doesn't look like any heavy rains or thunderstorm activity across Middle Tennessee today, though. Take a look at the 7-day forecast. About 62 the high, but especially north and west of town, some folks are going to be stuck in the 50s for daytime highs. Tonight down to 42. Saturday maybe starting off the day with some clouds, and then they'll try to break up 62, 65 on Sunday, and then all the way up close to 70 again by the time we hit Monday into Tuesday.
Up next, a closer look at how American troops are getting the job done in Iraq. This is The Early Show on CBS.
It's Pearl Vision's 2 for You sale. Buy one pair of glasses, choose a free pair valued up to $175. Your free glasses can be a second pair, computer glasses, or even prescription sunglasses.
Nobody cares for eyes more than Pearl.
There's nothing like a great night's sleep. I can get an early start in the morning and go out and do something just for me.
Tylenol PM stops your nighttime pain and helps you sleep so you can wake up refreshed.
It's a really good feeling.
Honey, look what I bought.
Ocean spray.
Their cran grape juice drink.
What? How much juice?
It's only 25% juice, Mom. Mostly water and corn syrup.
How much juice?
Northland's 100% juice.
Northland, 100% juice.
And 100% refreshing.
Northland Cranberry Grape has the refreshing goodness of 4 times as much cranberry juice as their cran grape juice drink.
Northland is really refreshing.
Northland, 100% juice, 100% refreshing.
That was great, Mom! I saw 5 snakes. I got a fish. Where you wanna go, do what you wanna do.
Now there's a new and different way to treat seasonal allergies. Singulair, the only seasonal allergy medicine that specifically blocks leukotrienes, an underlying cause of allergy symptoms. It's a once-a-day chewable tablet that helps relieve a broad range of symptoms for a full 24 hours. It's It's available for children as young as 2. Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, ear infection, sore throat, and upper respiratory infection. Ask your child's doctor about Singulair. Singulair, a different way to treat seasonal allergies.
Swimming, we went canoeing, we did all kinds of fun stuff.
The strong, silent type is about to make some noise. On March 27th, Jack Wagner joins the bold and the beautiful. A bold man is good to find. Find him only on CBS.
I like making futures bright.
I need people to brighten futures. I like helping girls blossom.
I need people to help girls blossom.
So far, the American military war plan seems to have met little serious opposition from Iraqi forces. Retired Air Force General Perry Smith is one of our experts on military matters. He again is with us this morning. All right, let's talk about this movement from Kuwait to Baghdad. Our troops moving up this way in the tanks. Will they just go nonstop? Will they stop and rest? You're talking about 3 days. They must have to stop and refuel.
Yes, indeed. In fact, that's what they're doing right now. They've been moving up here very aggressively during the day. It's getting close to night. They're stopped to refuel. During the refueling, they all go to sleep. The tank drivers and the people in the tanks take a 2 or 3 hour sleep while they refuel the tanks, and then they keep going. They will continue to go pretty aggressively up here. They don't want to stop at night, but they do occasionally have to stop to refuel, and they have to stop to get some rest.
What do you think we'll see in the next, say, 12, 24 hours?
Big operations going on now in western Iraq. We now have 2 bases here that we've captured, so we can start flying stuff in there, so we can start a bit of a campaign coming out of the west, and we'll see some airborne operations and some airfields captured up here probably in the next day or 2, and it doesn't mean a major operation from the north, but we'll be able to settle down the Kurds and the Turks up here for kind of peacekeeping purposes.
The fact that we have these bases now here in western Iraq, that'll keep us from having to go over Turkey at all, possibly?
The need for Turkey is being less and less as we go forward. We'd hope to have Turkey. We're not going to have Turkey. We'll be able to bring in C-17s, for instance, in here, land equipment, land people. We won't have to jump them out of airplanes because we now control these bases. And it also means less likelihood that we'll see Scuds coming into Israel because it's beginning to indicate that we're beginning to control now western Iraq.
Yeah. This does not really appear much at all like the Gulf War of 1991, does it?
I would say the historians are not going to call this a war at all. They're going to call it a war, not a war, but aggressive occupation or aggressive liberation, and not a war because there's going to be very little fighting. We're not interested in fighting. We don't want to kill people. We want to just occupy the country and take care of this regime. And so far, the plan has gone very well, even though there was a major change just 2 days ago.
All right. Perry Smith, thank you so much, General. Appreciate it. Up next, some tense moments for Julie Chen, who found herself diving for cover in Kuwait. Stay with us. We're back after this.
Discover to Go is an easy way to pay for daily expenses. It's also a great conversation piece. It's not, however, good for ninja fights. Discover to Go. Convenient, innovative, not good for ninja fights. Just 2 more reasons it pays to discover.
What did you have for dinner?
Last night, I had an industrial-sized bat of taco chips.
I had 3-day-old cold pizza.
I licked the frosting off an empty box of donuts.
I had sesame chicken and a tangy plum sauce with sesame noodles, red peppers, and crisp green beans. It was one of those new Asian-style dinners from Lean Cuisine.
Do something good for yourself with new Asian-style cuisine. It's not just lean, it's cuisine.
Put down the glue gun and step away.
taking you down to Pier 1. Get those creative juices flowing.
Can you lose that?
Yes, I can. I'm right behind you.
I told my friends I hand-painted all mine.
I like how they put all this together.
Yep, and you don't get arrested for touching things.
Hurry in to our dining sale.
This would make a cool window valance.
Your place definitely says,
I am Pam.
Pier 1, get in touch with your senses.
So, let's talk about your age and how it's okay to lie. Why? Because Avon's found a way to outsmart the aging process with a new Retroactive, the #1 anti-aging skin cream. 100% of the women who tested it had fewer lines, less wrinkles. Let's talk about skipping birthdays, erasing years, and being 40 but looking 30-something. Let's talk about calling your Avon lady and telling her you need the #1 anti-aging skin cream. Order a new Retroactive. Pro-U skincare that works like subtraction.
Our Julie Chen has been traveling with American troops in Kuwait, and yesterday Julie found out firsthand just how serious war can be for both soldiers and civilians. And Julie, I know those sirens have gone off numerous times since you've been there. How frightening is it?
By now, since I've heard those sirens 9 times, it's not as frightening, and here's why. I've learned to always travel with my gas mask, and also we've been trained to always have our chemical suit. I have the chemical suit pants on right now, and on my chair is the jacket that goes with it. We've been given a bulletproof vest and also a duffel bag that is filled with things to protect us now that hostilities are underway. You know, I've got a helmet in here, but it is a scary situation at times, Hannah. That's the bottom line.
You know, just from a practical standpoint, help us see what the troops go through. Once those sirens go off, how long does it take you to get into the suit?
Well, first of all, keep in mind, I know you've been running the video of me putting the gas mask on. We had already run about a quarter mile. We were out of breath. I couldn't run anymore. Once we got into the bunker, watching the Marines get dressed, it is probably about a 5 to 10 minute process. Keep in mind, these Marines have to put their bulletproof vest on first, and then their chemical suit on top of it. They have to stay calm the entire time. After they put on their chemical suit, that's when they start helping each other out to make sure everyone is suited up properly. But it's about a 5-minute process. They have to put on boots. They have to put on gloves. You know, the gas mask is always the first thing.
I know there was some concern about how hot these suits might be during warfare in the desert. What's it like? Is it hot? What does it feel like to wear one of those things?
Oh, it's extremely hot, Hannah, and I wasn't wearing the bulletproof vest under my chemical suit because in the bunker, that served as my protection from any artillery or bombs or anything like that. But after being in the suit for 45 minutes, and we then got the all clear sign, we heard, I heard a voice, it was, you know, a commander in the bunker saying, you know, we got the all clear, but you are going to be dehydrated. He wanted everyone to finish 4 large 1.5-liter bottles of water. He said, while we have the mask off, drink 4 of these. So it got very hot.
I know this is really disconcerting for you as a civilian. What about the troops? How did this affect them?
They were completely calm. They are prepared for war, and that was more apparent to me than ever when I was in that bunker with them yesterday.
All right, Julie, gotta go. Check back with you in a bit. Coming up, we'll profile the man who has earned the nickname the Butcher of Baghdad, Saddam Hussein. This is The Early Show on CBS.
Jesse and I have built a lifetime together. We're each other's whole world. You just never know what high cholesterol and heart disease really mean until someone you love has a heart attack. You see, diet and exercise didn't lower his cholesterol enough. So as he was recovering, we asked the doctor about adding Zocor.
Zocor is a prescription medicine and is not for everyone, including women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant, or people with liver problems. Your doctor may do blood tests to check for liver problems.
Our doctor told us Zocor, along with diet, could significantly lower his cholesterol.
And it's working.
And Zocor is proven to reduce the risk of a heart attack in people with high cholesterol and heart disease.
Because serious side effects can result, tell your doctor about any muscle pain or weakness you experience and about any medicines you are taking.
Oh, Jesse.
I know. I love you too.
Ask your doctor about SOCOR. It's your future. Be there.
Let's stay together.
Good morning, I'm Susan McGinnis. More ahead on a special edition of The Early Show. First, here's a look at this morning's headlines. U.S. forces are conducting an intensive search in southern Afghanistan for al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Helicopters scouring the rugged mountainous region are providing support for soldiers conducting house-to-house searches. 12 people have been arrested. A hearing officer is recommending 2 Air Force pilots not be court-martialed. They were accused in the so-called friendly fire bombing that killed 4 Canadian soldiers in Afghanistan. The hearing officer ruled it a mistake. The final decision rests with an Air Force commander. For some, the war with Iraq can seem like an abstraction, a conflict in some distant place over a foreign policy issue. But there are real people involved, soldiers and sailors. Bob McNamara reports from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, on some families left behind.
War's beginning brought a rush of fear to this Army town.
We all realize it's real and that we have no control over what goes on.
23, 57.
While life is usually by the numbers and by the book, war is a wild card.
No sleep. A lot of explaining to the kids to do. That Daddy's not going to come home as soon as maybe we thought he would.
Cheryl Snap keeps her husband Frank close.
Well, I have his dog tags that he gave me. He had these made for me to keep with me and close as a reminder.
With 19,000 of Fort Campbell's airborne troops in the war zone, reservists are arriving here for processing, like the medical attention necessary for them to join the fighting. Rick Mullins is one of 7 Tennessee reservists headed for the war zone with their sons. He promised his wife their son Jeff would come home, even if it meant giving his own life.
I'll guarantee you, no question, in my mind, he'll come home before I will if I have to. If I got anything to say about it.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Dozens of soldiers were married by Judge Steve Tribble just before they left for the Gulf.
It was a hectic day. It was wild.
His fear is some of those names could appear on casualty lists.
Absolutely. And I mean, there may be several of them that don't come back.
This was one of his patches, and I had kept it with me all this time.
Seamstress Marilyn Fry's brother was killed in the Gulf War. Now she works 12 hours a day, sewing airborne patches to uniforms for another desert conflict.
We never got to say goodbye, but, you know, you get over it. I mean, you actually never get over it, but you deal with it.
Marilyn Fry has sewn thousands of these flags on uniforms lately. And like many here, she is hoping and praying that the men and women who wear them will come back to Fort Campbell alive. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
And around Denver, the cleanup continues from the worst blizzard in 90 years. Up to 7 feet of snow fell in some places. Flights resumed at the airport, which had been closed. The snow ripped a hole in the tent-like fabric that covers the airport's main terminal. There is more ahead on The Early Show with our continuing coverage of America at War. I'm Susan McGinnis.
Around here, bigger really is better. And now there's a bigger and better reason to drive our best trucks. Dodge Truck Month. Through the end of March, you'll get low financing offers. Or you'll find our best deals with a generous cash allowance on Motor Trend's 2003 Truck of the Year. Plus, our best protection, our fully transferable 770 powertrain limited warranty. It all adds up to the best values in America. Dodge Truck Month. Extended through March 31st.
The big Home and Garden Show, Cavalry Banking's Homes and Gardens Today, is coming to the I-24 Expo Center March 21st through 23rd. It's the Mid-State's largest home and garden show. Everything for building or remodeling the home, garden, pool, patio, and yard. See giant water garden displays with live fish, plants, waterfalls. There's more than ever to see at the show. Third big year, new products, new exhibitors. Don't miss it. Come see it all March 21st through 23rd, I-24 Expo Center in Smyrna. This is the big one.
Keep watching News Channel 5 for continuing coverage of America at War.
U.S. troops launched the first ground attack today, crossing the Iraqi desert from Kuwait and headed for Baghdad. Troops could arrive at the capital within days. Along the way, they're being met with hundreds of Iraqi soldiers surrendering, some bearing white flags and wearing civilian clothing.
Welcome back to the Early Show special coverage of America at War. I'm Harry Smith along with Renee Seiler and Hannah Storm. Julie Chen is in Kuwait. Good morning again, Julie.
Hey, good morning again, everybody. Good afternoon. It's 4:30 in the afternoon here. I'm happy to report that it's been 3.5 hours at this time since I've had to put on my gas mask. I'll have more coming up throughout this broadcast, but now I'm going to send it back to New York.
All right, Julie, thank you. And we're going to quickly run through the latest headlines for you. The first American combat casualty. This morning, a Marine was shot and killed in southern Iraq. 4 other Americans and 8 British Marines died in an accidental helicopter crash. Allied forces are quickly moving north through the Iraqi desert and may reach Baghdad in days. Iraqi soldiers have begun surrendering in large numbers. And Iraqi officials say Saddam Hussein survived an American bombing attack. U.S. officials say the voice on the tape is Saddam's, but they're not sure when it was recorded, and his fate remains a mystery. Let's go back now to CBS News correspondent Lara Logan, who is near the Jordan-Iraq border, now hoping to get back into Baghdad. Lara, good morning.
Good morning, Renee. That's right. We are hoping to get back into Baghdad. We're having to review the situation minute by minute because, of course, the area between us and the Iraqi capital now is a combat zone. And we've been warned by the military that anything moving within that area could be a target, which really makes you wonder about the people that are here in this refugee camp because they've come out of Baghdad through that combat zone. And just a few minutes ago, I was on one of the buses behind me talking to some of the families on that bus, children as young as 5 or 6 years old, who were describing their journey out of the city last night. They said it was absolutely terrifying. They saw and heard explosions around them, and in the distance, they couldn't say for sure what the targets were, but you really got a sense from speaking to these people of the real human tragedy of this situation. You know, we talk about war and we talk about casualties and we talk about suffering, but when you actually meet people who are suffering from this, they've left everything behind. They're visibly shaken and scared. They don't know what they're going to. They've got no money and nothing with them. And there are so many people like this. This is just the beginning. There are a couple hundred people in this camp. None of them Iraqis, actually. In fact, earlier today, there were Iraqis going back over the border into Iraq, going home to their towns and villages and to their families. So the road between Amman and Baghdad is still open, and the border is still open, people crossing in both directions. But here in this refugee camp, it's mostly people from Yemen, Somalia, Oman, countries like that. A country like Somalia where there is still a civil war going on. And these people were saying to me, we're afraid to go home even. So, you know, here it's very moving to talk to people and to realize that the human cost of this, even for people who are safe and unharmed at this stage. Renee?
All right, Lara Logan near the Iraqi border in Jordan. Thank you. Now let's head back to Kuwait City and Julie Chen.
All right, thanks a lot, Renee. You've been reporting all morning about the helicopter that went down last night, killing 4 American and 8 British soldiers. They were providing air cover and transportation for British commandos moving into Iraq. Part of that same air support mission was a group of Marines who fly the Super Cobra attack helicopter. As the conflict was getting underway, their commander showed me what makes this aircraft so special. It is a swift fighting machine designed to rapidly lay down fire ahead of advancing Marines. The Cobra can operate 50 feet off the ground at speeds of more than 160 miles an hour.
The pilot in the back seat is the primary flyer of the helicopter. The primary job of the man in the front seat, or the woman in the front seat, as the case may be in our squadron, is to operate the weapon systems.
The Cobra is armed with several weapons systems, including the Hellfire missile. One Cobra could take out 8 tanks. And unlike the first Gulf War, Cobras do the bulk of their business at night, with new technology that makes the targets on the ground easy to identify.
You could almost think of it as a lightsaber, like they do in Star Wars. but it points a line that's only visible on night vision goggles, so it's not any good to me during the day.
The squadron commander, who we are not allowed to identify, fought in the Persian Gulf War 12 years ago. Along with the Cobra, his Marines operate Vietnam-era all-purpose Huey helicopters. The machine guns on the Huey can fire 4,000 rounds per minute. That's a football field in a matter of seconds.
A lot of people talk about jack of all trades, master of none. I'd say jack of all trades, master of many. We can do casualty evacuation or a medevac and get somebody that's wounded back to aid.
Or take the ground commander up to give him a bird's eye view of his battlefield.
It gives him an opportunity to be a decision maker on a real-time basis.
This squadron is out of Camp Pendleton in Southern California. They are nicknamed the Vipers. They've been training at this desert camp for weeks. Today, they are in the heat of the battle, and this commander says his Vipers are prepared for whatever they're facing.
If you have to go up and kill people, that's obviously the mission of last resort. But mentally, we've all rehearsed that and we're ready to do it. There's probably three kinds of ways that people get ready for this. One is that they pray. Two is that they think that it's just fate. And the third one is we think we're bulletproof.
And not necessarily in that order. And I just want to clarify one thing. In the piece, you saw us show you what a Cobra does and what a Huey does. We mentioned that a helo went down. It was not a Cobra and not a Huey. It was an aircraft called a CH-46 Sea Knight, and the cause of that crash is still under investigation. Renee?
All right, Julie, but back to the piece that we just saw that you did. What are some of the risks that these helicopter pilots face?
Visibility. First of all, if a sandstorm decides to kick up, that is a huge problem. Also, smoke from the reportedly burning oil fields can pose a problem. And one other thing, we also know there are many electrical wires in northern Kuwait. So these pilots have to fly very high or very low away from those wires.
Right.
Renee?
All right, Julie, thank you so much. Now let's go to Hannah.
All right, Renee, we're going to break away from war coverage for a second to check the nation's weather. 3 to 6 inches of snow will fall across the southern Rockies, but this time Denver, thankfully, is expected to be dry. Now here's an early look at what's going on in your area.
Well, this morning across Middle Tennessee, we do have clouds moving in across the area. A slight chance of a few patchy light showers. Doesn't look like any heavy rains or thunderstorm activity across Middle Tennessee today, though. Take a look at the 7-day forecast. About 62 the high, but especially north and west of town, some folks are going to be stuck in the 50s for daytime highs. Tonight down to 42. Saturday maybe starting off the day with some clouds, and then they'll try to break up 62, 65 on Sunday, and then all the way up close to 70 again by the time we hit Monday into Tuesday.
As we have reported, U.S. intelligence now believes Saddam Hussein and 2 of his sons were inside a Baghdad compound when it was struck by U.S. bombs 2 nights ago, and that the Iraqi leader may have been injured. Gerald Post is the director of political psychology at George Washington University and a profiler of Saddam Hussein. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You know, yesterday was such an interesting time as we looked at the videotape. Was it him? Was it not him? We understand now that the voice on that tape was, in fact, Saddam Hussein's. That doesn't really tell us, though, definitively, for instance, when that tape may have been recorded. Would it have fit his profile to have recorded a message like this before the bombing started?
Indeed, and he knows how central his authority is to the ability of the center to hold. And that is clearly one of his major concerns, and it's been a major goal of U.S. policy to split him from his leadership, going back to public statements by Secretary of Defense Rumsfeld, President Bush himself, in terms of urging the generals not to obey his orders. So we have a very stressful situation for the regime if indeed he is wounded. My initial impression, in fact, was that it was a double. If it was he, the bags under his eyes, the puffiness in the face, he's clearly under major stress.
Yeah. It doesn't look like the same Saddam Hussein from, say, 2 or 3 days ago.
It surely doesn't. And it is when he's under stress, to take the other side of the coin, if this was he, that he can become all the more paranoid and start eliminating suspected individuals in his own circle. So either way, we have a very difficult situation for the administration.
Well, and certainly a very difficult situation for the people who are under him. This Ba'ath Party, the Baathists, and what I refer to as a kind of a mafia that he runs over there. If you don't know he's in charge anymore, you've got some serious questions you have to be asking yourself, don't you?
Right, and the number of people prepared to go all the way with him is probably rather small. Having said that, it is they who have their fingers on the chem bio buttons. And the interesting question is, I mean, I feel he probably, with his back to the corner, will have ordered the use of chem bio weapons against alliance forces in the area. The question then is, will they obey his orders? And that's quite a crucial dilemma indeed.
Because the real reason to obey his orders is because if you don't, it could cost you your life. If your life is no longer hanging in the balance, you're not so sure you have to obey those orders, do you?
Right, and in fact, his son Qusay is in charge of executing individuals whose disloyalty is suspected. So there's a real squeeze on this group, and I'll be interested to see when we see the major defections at senior levels, and if there is a rising up against him. We should recall in 1991, those who too early lifted their heads to let know their enthusiasm for the overthrow of Saddam, after the conflict were ruthlessly hunted down with their families, tortured and executed. So his leaders are well aware of this, and I believe we probably will not see major moves until not only is the conflict fully engaged, but it is a certainty he's on the way out. So if in fact he were wounded, and or even worse from the administration, if he were dead, the remaining loyalists might well need to put up a double to ensure that they could hold under that dominion of fear the leadership whose loyalty is suspect.
Right, certainly even put up a double in order for them to escape.
That too, that too.
20 seconds or so I've got left. What are you looking for in the day to come, in this next day or so?
I'm looking for him striking back, or at least ordering a striking back against the forces in the area. We've already seen something I had thought was probable for some time, a lighting of some of the Iraqi oil fields. I think that will probably expand. If I can't have them, nobody will. This is a man who, when he's backed into that corner, really can, his judgment can be frayed, and we can see some unraveling.
Gerald Post, we thank you so much.
My great pleasure.
Coming up next, reaction to war from the military families left behind. You're watching The Early Show on CBS.
At B.F. Myers, we know there's a lot of other furniture choices out there.
That's why at B.F. Myers we work harder on everything we do.
I'm a designer for a new home builder in Brentwood. I work with new home buyers all the time. They ask me where I get furniture that I do the models with, and I always recommend B.F. Myers. The quality of furniture, the prices, everything, it's outstanding.
We've got what you're looking for.
At B.F. Myers Furniture.
Gasoline prices got you down? Well, get up and head to your Saturn retailer and test drive the brand new 2003 Saturn Ion. The affordable Ion starts at $13,405. It's fuel efficient with 32 miles per gallon. Add to that Ion's engineering, style, comfort, and Saturn's reputation, voted #1 in customer satisfaction. Now, for a limited time, Saturn has 0 interest for 5 years. That's 0 interest for 5 years on the Ion or any 2003 Saturns. Test drive the Ion at Saturn of Clarksville, Saturn of Cool Springs, and Saturn of Rivergate.
Right now at Sprint's, you'll find incredible savings on the entire collection of Karastan rugs. All Karastan rugs are crafted with attention to detail, and they come with an amazing 20-year warranty. And right now at Sprint's, they're all on sale. That's right, we're offering great sale prices on all Karastan rugs, from traditional Oriental designs to contemporary area rugs. Save on the entire collection. The Sprint's Karastan sale is going on now. Sprint's, imagine the possibilities.
Let me ask you something.
What's more important than being there for Parents' Day? Being there for the goal that they scored, high fives if they win, holding their hand if they didn't. Being there to pick them up from school, going for ice cream afterwards. Let me tell you something, folks, there's absolutely nothing more important. That's why people rely on us here at Rivergate Toyota. Well, right now, we've got 0% financing on these 4 models. Rivergate Toyota, when you just have to be there.
While U.S. troops do their job in Iraq, their loved ones here at home, all they can do is worry and pray. CBS News correspondent Bob McNamara went to Fort Campbell, Kentucky to find out just how those military families are coping. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Hannah. Well, the hopes are as high as the anxieties here at the home of the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. The deepest concerns, though, are with the families, the loved ones of this storied fighting force.
War's beginning brought a rush of fear to this Army town.
We all realize it's real and that we have no control over what goes on.
23, 57.
While life is usually by the numbers and by the book, war is a wild card.
No sleep. A lot of explaining to the kids to do. That Daddy's not going to come home as soon as maybe we thought he would.
Cheryl Snap keeps her husband Frank close.
Well, I have his dog tags that he gave me. He had these made for me to keep with me and close as a reminder.
With 19,000 of Fort Campbell's airborne troops in the war zone, reservists are arriving here for processing, like the medical attention necessary for them to join the fighting. Rick Mullins is one of 7 Tennessee reservists headed for the war zone with their sons. He promised his wife their son Jeff would come home, even if it meant giving his own life.
I'll guarantee you, no question, in my mind, he'll come home before I will if I have to. If I got anything to say about it.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Dozens of soldiers were married by Judge Steve Tribble just before they left for the Gulf.
It was a hectic day. It was wild.
His fear is some of those names could appear on casualty lists.
Absolutely. And I mean, there may be several of them that don't come back.
This was one of his patches, and I had kept it with me all this time.
Seamstress Marilyn Fry's brother was killed in the Gulf War. Now she works 12 hours a day, sewing airborne patches to uniforms for another desert conflict.
We never got to say goodbye, but you know, you get over it. I mean, you actually never get over it, but you deal with it.
Marilyn Fry has sewn tens of thousands of patches on uniforms, but she says when she puts on the name tags of each and every soldier at a time like this, that is what really brings the war home. Hannah?
All right, CBS's Bob McNamara, thanks so much. Meanwhile, early show national correspondent Tracy Smith is on the other side of the country in Georgia with those military families. How's everybody doing where you are, Tracy?
Well, just like in Fort Campbell, Hannah, here at Fort Benning, thousands of spouses and children are waiting to hear whether their loved ones are safe. It's an emotional battle that there's no formal training for.
Can you give Daddy a kiss? Give Daddy a kiss?
Flipping through the Hertig family album has become a comforting ritual. It's the only place they can go to see Daddy, a soldier in the Army's 3rd Infantry Division.
Can you quantify how much you miss him?
No, I can't. There's no way. And maybe it's because I know the threat against him is very real, but I ache because I miss him so much. I go in the closet and I hug his clothes, and I'll have a little cry.
But the tears don't last long.
French toast sticks for dinner?
Sarah's mission at home is to put up a strong front for her 3 kids.
How tough is it to be a single parent?
It's the hardest thing I've ever done. It's a challenge every day, and it's something new every day. That's just what I do. I run on autopilot, and that's what I have to do.
For her, the start of the war is the first step of her husband's journey back.
He has even said that the way home is through Baghdad, and as soon as we get rolling there, that's the sooner I'm going to be coming home. And so now that it's started, just means they're going to be home that much sooner.
This was the opening phase, the early stage.
And even breaking news from the battlefield is strangely therapeutic.
And it's a lifeline to me, that I'm able to stay attached to him through this television screen in a very odd way.
My mom, I hate this
She watches the news every day. I'm trying to make her stop. Like, Mom, I don't want to know what's happening to Dad over there. Let's go!
10-year-old James may have the energy of a regular kid, but his thoughts are anything but carefree.
I picture more dying than him coming home. But I'm trying to conquer my fear and make my fear be like 0 and him coming home 100%. But the fear is trying to conquer over my happiness.
You've heard about the weapons that Saddam Hussein has, right?
Yes, nuclear bombs and nerve gas. Yeah, and if I could write a letter to Bush, I'd say, just kill Saddam Hussein, then get back to home.
Until then, distractions are the best medicine for this family.
Army Family Team Building, this is Sarah. How may I help you?
Sarah works on base, helping new families adjust to military life. And she leads her own little precious troop of Girl Scouts.
That is my stress relief. People ask me, what do you do for fun? I say I go play with 10 5-year-olds and just go and be silly and have fun.
Have fun and pass the time until the Hertig family is whole again.
You guys want to play catch? Yeah. I want this day to be over with so I can start tomorrow, another day closer to him coming home.
Coming home, coming home. It's almost like a mantra for the people here. In fact, Sarah told me that as soon as the war began, spouses here started planning the troops' homecoming party.
Wow. Tracy, I want to talk more about the kids. What sort of provisions are the schools making for all these children whose moms and dads are now fighting?
Well, the unique thing about Fort Benning schools is that there is at least one counselor in every school, and they have actual deployment classes where they're able to counsel the kids and talk them through this. Now, they don't want to overdo it, so they kind of, it's a delicate balancing act. Will the kids talk about it? But, I mean, it obviously has an effect. That 10-year-old James says he feels like he's 15 years old because he's had to deal with these issues.
Boy, just trying to be brave, wasn't he? Tracy Smith, thanks so much. And I thought Lara Logan with a very emotional report, too, about just the children in the buses, you know, watching the explosions. You think about Israeli children going to school today with their gas masks. So our thought with children all over the world and with our own Julie, who's there in Kuwait. How are you, Jules?
To point out that it might look very comfortable, the surrounding reporting from the roof of this building in downtown Kuwait, but the reality is we are in a war zone, and last night I slept in my street clothes with my gas mask right by my side and my shoes, and I also slept, believe it or not, with the jacket to my chemical suit on. Back to you guys in New York.
All right, Jules, thank you. CBS stations, some of you going to local news next, but we'll continue our coverage after this.
You know, you really shouldn't be up there cleaning gutters. You need to think about Gutter Guard. It's a patented system with 2 channels, draws the rain in but keeps the trash out. And it's not going to clog. If it ever does, we'll clean it. So call Gutter Guard. Are you all right? I'm fine. Gutter Guard, because you got better things to do. Get a free quote, 877-460-1907.
Being in real estate means I get to do what I do best. Talk. Nights, Saturdays, Saturday evenings, Sundays, Sunday brunch. I talk all the time. But I do listen.
Singular's offering 5,000 night and weekend minutes or 5,000 mobile-to-mobile minutes plus 300 anytime minutes starting at $29.99. And you can get a free phone, too.
I like to call it the Don Cody Can I Interest You in a 2-Bedroom Condo plan.
Come into Singular now to find the plan that fits you best.
Need new shoes? The place to get them is Shoe Carnival, where you'll find a huge selection of all the latest spring styles for the entire family. And right now, when you buy 1 pair of Shoe Carnival's brand name shoes, get a 2nd pair half price, even sale items. Plus, save on other great deals, like this men's and women's New Balance, $49.98, as your 2nd pair, $24.99. Or this women's Skechers, $34.98, as your 2nd pair, $17.49. The 2nd pair half price sale, going on now at Shoe Carnival. Brand name value for your family.
final art sale. The end of collector's art season means we must sell out now. From European-style landscapes to renditions of old masters, contemporary too. And all will be sold at a fraction of their retail value. Plus hundreds of paintings like you see here to be sold out at $59 or less. Imagine quality oil paintings for only $59. Don't miss your last chance to find the painting you've been looking for. It's Collector's Art this Sunday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. in Nashville at the Airport Holiday Inn Select and in Franklin at the Marriott Cool Springs.
Good morning, I'm Susan McGinnis. More ahead on a special edition of the early show. First, here's a look at this morning's headlines. U.S. forces are conducting an intensive search in southern Afghanistan for al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Helicopters scouring the rugged mountainous region are providing support for soldiers conducting house-to-house searches. 12 people have been arrested. A hearing officer is recommending 2 Air Force pilots not be court-martialed. They were accused in the so-called friendly fire bombing that killed 4 Canadian soldiers in Afghanistan. The hearing officer ruled it a mistake. The final decision rests with an Air Force commander. For some, the war with Iraq can seem like an abstraction, a conflict in some distant place over a foreign policy issue. But there are real people involved, soldiers and sailors. Bob McNamara reports from Fort Campbell, Kentucky, on some families left behind.
War's beginning brought a rush of fear to this Army town.
We all realize it's real and that we have no control over what goes on.
23, 57.
While life is usually by the numbers and by the book, war is a wild card.
No sleep. A lot of explaining to the kids to do. That Daddy's not going to come home as soon as maybe we thought he would.
Cheryl Snap keeps her husband Frank close.
Well, I have his dog tags that he gave me. He had these made for me to keep with me and close as a reminder.
With 19,000 of Fort Campbell's airborne troops in the war zone, reservists are arriving here for processing, like the medical attention necessary for them to join the fighting. Rick Mullins is one of 7 Tennessee reservists headed for the war zone with their sons. He promised his wife their son Jeff would come home, even if it meant giving his own life.
I'll guarantee you, no question, in my mind, he'll come home before I will if I have to. If I got anything to say about it.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Dozens of soldiers were married by Judge Steve Tribble just before they left for the Gulf.
It was a hectic day. It was wild.
His fear is some of those names could appear on casualty lists.
Absolutely. And I mean, there may be several of them that don't come back.
This was one of his patches, and I had kept it with me all this time.
Seamstress Marilyn Fry's brother was killed in the Gulf War. Now she works 12 hours a day, sewing airborne patches to uniforms for another desert conflict.
We never got to say goodbye, but, you know, you get over it. I mean, you actually never get over it, but you deal with it.
Marilyn Fry has sewn thousands of these flags on uniforms lately. And like many here, she is hoping and praying that the men and women who wear them will come back to Fort Campbell alive. Bob McNamara, CBS News, Fort Campbell, Kentucky.
And around Denver, the cleanup continues from the worst blizzard in 90 years. Up to 7 feet of snow fell in some places. Flights resumed at the airport, which had been closed. The snow ripped a hole in the tent-like fabric that covers the airport's main terminal. There is more ahead on the early show with our continuing coverage of America at War. I'm Susan McGinnis.
Catch the King of Queens, Monday on CBS. It's all here.
An important message to all Americans. If you're eligible to carry a Medicare card, you'll also need to carry this card too. Why? Because Medicare and most Medicare supplements don't offer prescription drug savings. And that's how this People's Prescription Plan card can help. This valuable card can save money on prescriptions for your entire family with no limits on use. You'll also save on many other healthcare essentials, all at over 50,000 locations nationwide. Just show this card for on-the-spot savings with no claim forms. Your whole family's covered for just $7.95 a month, but your first month costs just $2.95, a $5 savings. Your satisfaction is guaranteed or your money back. So if you carry this card, make sure you also carry this card. Call now to get your People's Prescription Plan card today.
Call 1-800-216-6655 for free information on the People's Prescription Plan. That's 1-800-216-6655.
Keep watching News Channel 5 for continuing coverage of America at War.
Day 2 of